An Indonesia passenger plane crashing into the sea minutes after takeoff from Jakarta. All 189 people on board are now feared dead. Benjamin Hall's following this story from our London bureau this morning. Benjamin, what are we learning about what caused this plane to come down?
Sandra, at this point, it really is still a mystery. Weather conditions were almost perfect for flying. It was a relatively brand new plane. As you say, just minutes after takeoff, 13 minutes, in fact, is when the plane came down. It had reached an altitude of about 5,200 feet and suddenly just plummeted down into the ocean. One clue, perhaps, from the chief executive of Lion Air is that he said the plane had had an unspecified technical issue on a previous flight Sunday, but then he said that engineers had checked that out, that this had been resolved.
That's the search for plane crash survivors in Indonesia. That search looking bleak this hour. A passenger plane carrying 189 people went down last night, minutes after taking off from Jakarta. Search and rescue officials say they are not expecting any survivors.
We have breaking news from Indonesia. A Lion Air Boeing 737 MAX 8 carrying 189 people crashed into the sea this morning. Rescuers have located debris, but they do not expect to find any survivors.
The investigation into Sunday's deadly Ethiopian Airlines crash is affecting entire fleets. Several countries and airlines announced Monday they are grounding Boeing 737 MAX 8 planes, the model involved in the crash. The plane was supposed to fly from Ethiopia to Kenya. It went down just after takeoff, killing all 157 people on board. It was the second deadly crash of that model in 5 months.
It is rare, as people know, for passenger planes to crash. Ethiopian Airlines was considered one of the world-class airlines by everyone, not just in Africa, but around the world. Very strong safety record. Based on your experience, what should the focus of the investigation be to determine the exact cause of the crash?
Well, you're correct about Ethiopian Airlines it was basically started with a great deal of help in the 1960s by Trans World Airlines went over there and helped them set it up. So it is certainly a well-respected airline. So early in the investigation, everything is on the table. We have recovered both recorders, the late model airplane with absolutely top-of-the-line flight data recorders, which would record hundreds of parameters, and cockpit voice recorders. So they have very good evidence. Interesting to note one fact is that the wreckage was described as being in an area the size of a basketball court. Well, that would certainly tell you that the airplane came in probably nearly vertically. But everything's on the table on day one, and the best experts in the world are on their way to assist the Ethiopian government.
Because Ethiopian Airlines says that investigators have just recovered both black boxes, meaning the voice and data recorder, from the crash site to try to figure out what happened. Boeing faces a lot of safety questions this morning because this is the second crash in just 5 months involving their best-selling passenger jet. Some airlines are now grounding the 737 MAX 8 after Sunday's crash. All 157 people on board were killed, including 8 Americans.
We begin with a very terrible story. It involves a plane crash in Africa. Ethiopian Airlines is now grounded the rest of its brand new Boeing 737 MAX 8 jets while it investigates Sunday's crash that killed 157 people. Flight 302 to Nairobi, Kenya went down minutes after takeoff from Ethiopia's capital, Addis Ababa. The victims came from 35 different countries, and 8 of them are American.
The Skull and Bones secret society was originally called the Brotherhood of Death. George Bush Jr., his father George H.W. Bush, and his grandfather Prescott Bush have all been initiated into this macabre fraternity, which was established in 1832. at Yale University by William Huntington Russell, whose family were America's biggest opium smugglers. William Huntington Russell had traveled in Germany during his student years and was befriended by a disciple of Adam Weishaupt's Bavarian Illuminati. Upon returning to the USA in the early 1800s, Russell used some of his family's opium wealth to fund the building of the tomb at Yale University. In her fascinating book, American journalist Alexandra Robbins claims to have unearthed a skull and bones plan to dominate the world. One can't help recognizing the fact that in the 170 years since the formation of the Skull and Bones Society, it has members in the most influential jobs all over the world. New initiates seem to fall effortlessly into high-paid jobs within banks, media organizations, government agencies, and huge corporations which earn vast profits from government defense contracts. The Skull and Bones Brotherhood of Death recruits members from America's billionaire aristocracy. Multiple generations of the Bush family have taken part in 6 satanically inspired rituals, along with members of wealthy families who are behind some of America's most famous brand names. Based on the rituals of the German Bavarian Illuminati, the Skull and Bones have approximately 900 members worldwide. The new initiates are threatened with blackmail if they ever reveal the secrets of this Masonic order. At this point, they are dressed in long robes and rechristened with their occult names. We can exclusively reveal that George Bush Sr.'s occult name is Magog, which is the name of the evil army commanded by Satan to visit Earth and destroy the kingdom of Christ.
And we will make America great again.
It was still really unclear where the Trump campaign was going to go because it was going off in so many different directions. He was already insulting his fellow Republicans in a way that we'd never seen before of anybody running for anything of any party.
He's a war hero because he was captured. I like people that weren't captured, okay? I hate to tell you. Do you agree with that? He's a war hero.
I think somebody actually sent us a sample and said, hey, here's an idea, and it just said, make America great again in the hat. And they brought that sample to Donald Trump, and he said, I like it, but let's tweak this, let's do it differently.
The hat itself, did we focus group the hat? No. It was really a coup, and it's one of those things you never know in a campaign that certainly just like clicked.
You had to find a U.S. vendor to make these. It sounds overly simplistic, but it wasn't. We had to go all the way to California. We had actually tried a series of different hats and different letters and different sizes of those before we actually agreed. When I say we, he specifically chose the exact one he wanted.
Get your Trump hats, Trump hats.
I trust, he's going to make America great,
What better way to support him than buy a hat?
I think they brought some divisiveness, but I think they made people pay attention, made people wake up.
I got him for 20, he's got him for 30 right there. This is the hottest thing out there, this hat, you can't get him.
The American Ivy League colleges each have their own branches of the Skull and Bones Brotherhood of Death, indoctrinating the children of America's elite families who go on to become the captains of industry, banking, law, military, and the media.
Skull
and Bones dates to 1832. It was, in fact, a reaction to a secret society, the Masons, then much more influential than they are today. Founder William Huntington Russell thought of his little conclave as sort of anti-Masons, and as a home for the wealthy and the powerful and the people who would do anything for another Bonesman. Each year, 15 Yale undergraduate seniors are tapped for membership, initiated in controversial, murky fashion dramatized here in the movie The Skull.
Skull above any other. Say it. Skull above any other.
Fashion satirized here in The Simpsons.
Who leads Atlantis off the bats? Who keeps the Martians on their racks? We do.
Members of Skull and Bones, that is, not of the Stonecutters, gather on High Street in the Yale campus at The Tomb. New members, the neophytes, are expected to do things like lie in coffins and wrestle in mud and kiss a skull and confess their sexual histories in front of the group to bond themselves together further still and presumably just for a few laughs.
You both were members of Skull and Bones, a secret society at Yale. What does that tell us?
Not much, because it's a secret.
You were both in Skull and Bones, the secret society.
It's so secret we can't talk about it.
What?
For Skull and Bones, even though they do admit women now.
Magic swirls all around us. It is in the air that we breathe. Do not be so naive as to think we are the only ones who can harness its power.
Nothing is as it seems.
Congratulations on your acceptance to Belgrave University.
We have a question.
What do you know about the Hermetic Order of the Blue Rose?
Everyone knows the order is fake news.
You're about to start the biggest adventure of your lives.
What is reality?
It appears you've been summoned. Will you heed the call?
Yes.
We'll be expecting great things from you.
Welcome to the Order. I'm going to teach you how to use magic properly.
A tutor?
You got stuck with me for some reason.
Just lucky, I guess.